revelution.com.
If you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, or in grief, I'm here to help. I'm Faye Lau, intuitive healer and founder of Faye Inspired Healing. Through soul-guided sessions, I help you reconnect with your body's wisdom and inner truth. Whether you're healing from loss, letting go of pain, or rising into elevated energies, my work combines energy clearing, grief support, and spiritual coaching. Schedule a session or learn more at fayeinspiredhealing.com.
Do you want to better understand and embrace neurodiversity? I'm Dr. Lori Noto, with over 30 years of experience working with diverse and unique individuals. Through my consulting and purpose-driven life coaching, I focus on empowering individuals with disabilities. My passion is advocacy, providing the tools for neurodiverse individuals to thrive and feel included in classrooms, workplaces, and communities. Unlock the potential of possibility, power, and purpose.
Welcome to Spark Faith with me, Dr. Chris Sargent. This show is about renewed health, rooted in truth, and restored by grace. What does finding health look like for you? Do you have a vision for your future self and a way to get there? I'm Dr. Chris, and after 33 years in functional medicine and a lifelong journey through brain health, weight loss, hormones, mindset, and faith, I know that real transformation doesn't come from willpower or white-knuckling your way to wellness. It comes from gratitude, honoring your body as the temple that God created. This show is about body stewardship, not shame. It's about rewiring your mindset, your metabolism, and your spirit to find lasting health without the grind. I'll help you cut through the noise, see opportunities instead of obstacles, and finally live the healthy, purposeful life you were created for. Let's spark faith and transformation together. Spark Faith starts now. Hey, everyone. This is Dr. Chris Sargent, and welcome to the Spark Faith Show. If you have not joined us before, I am excited that you are here today, and today may feel a little different. I'm going to be really honest right here at the very beginning. This has not been a super light week for me. I have some hard things happening in my family. And my dog isn't doing well, which is really weird because he's only 7, and we took him to the vet and they're like, yeah, we don't really know. Blood work, x-rays, nothing big. But anyway, so there is lots of things that I can be super grateful for. At the same time, I have an amazing fiance and the life, my podcast and my practice and y'all, like, this is, it's just one of those weeks where there's just been some disruption in the force, if you will. So interestingly, as God would have it, right, I get to do this podcast, and we are talking about my Living Fresh series, and we're talking formation over fixing, right? That health is built and not just repaired. And so honestly, like, that's exactly why this episode matters, because health is not really tested when everything is chill, right? Like, that's not when your health gets tested, right? It's in the fire. That's when your faith gets tested. It's when you come up against a cold, but you have deadlines and you have to rest and juggle all those things. That's when health is tested. And so that's where we're going to jump off of a little bit today and talk about moving from this fixing mentality to forming and formation. Because in our modern medicine world, and I have had this disclaimer from the beginning, I have nothing against our modern medicine world. I think it is great if you have something that has flared up and is acute, like a heart attack, or like you have some crazy something that happens, some sort of injury or acute illness or something like that. They are fantastic at that, right? Absolutely. It's the chronic health issues like fatigue and these nebulous, my gut doesn't feel right, and I don't really feel great all the time, right? It's those things that maybe require a different perspective. And so it's not about fixing it, it's about figuring out where to begin to lay that foundation, like we talked about, I think 4 episodes ago. It's finding regulation. That's the R of fresh, right? Regulation in our nervous system. It's really feeding our body well to create that energy for our mitochondria to keep moving forward. It's building strength, but strength from a place of resilience, right? Where sometimes our body just isn't really ready to go out and run a marathon. I know I'm not, and I run every day. So, like, where do you need to start that, right? So, resilience first and building into super good strength or whatever your goals might be. And so this week is really about health and stewardship of that health, but from a different perspective of really laying the foundations for our health and not just thinking about, oh gosh, how do I fix this thing that's showing up? And I'm not saying that some of your symptoms don't need to be fixed, because they probably do, because they're probably driving you nuts, if you're really super honest with it, right? Last week's show, I had a little cold, which morphed into a bad cold, and I am coming off the end of that. And it's funny how, like, I had time to rest, right, with being sick, and then these other things popped up in my life that have put a little bit more toll on me, but I'm glad that I had that time to rest, right? God prepares us in ways that we don't always see when we're going through it. But that's a foundation of rest that I was able to build on for an emotional week this week, right? So, a lot of times a symptom will show up and we just want to fix it. How about our emotions? When our emotions show up, right? Do we just want to like manage it and hold it down, or put it in a box and put it on the shelf and feel it later? Or do we really allow our emotions to just be that energy in motion through our body, feel it, name it, and move forward that way, and maybe sit in it for a little bit instead of just trying to put a lid on it, right? Or what about when stress shows up? How do you manage that? Do you just shove it back and shove it down and put a smiley face on like I used to, and try to suppress it and show up with this weird dual personality that we've talked about before, where you're one person on the outside but feeling something horrible on the inside, right? So yes, I'm showing up today. I have a smile on my face. I have lots of things to be grateful for. And in the background, I'm feeling all the emotions happening and bumping off each other, in my brain and in my heart today. So formation is a little bit different, right? Formation is really going to ask some questions, which none of us really love those questions, right? Because that's like getting to the heart of who we are and into us a little bit deeper. But what is being built inside of me? Am I building that foundation for health? Am I building some emotional and nervous system regulation? Am I building resilience and then strength, right? What is being built right now? What's being strengthened, right? Like maybe you have some strength goals. You've gotten all the little exercises done and now you're starting to add some weight, right? What's being strengthened? Or is your emotional regulation being strengthened? Or are you strengthening your ability to handle stress by resting more and taking your supplements better? What's being strengthened in your life, right? And then what's just being steadied? Like, what are we maintaining here, right? What are we studying? What are we maintaining here? So health is not really something that you just repair once. That would be nice, but I'm going to go back to my car analogy, right? Like we don't just get to change the oil one time, right? We have to keep doing those things, in order to stay healthy. So health is not something that you just repair once and move on from. It's something that you build. And especially in seasons, like I'm having a little season, maybe it's all going to be fixed later today. I don't know. I don't know what God has in store for those things that are hard right now, but We can create some really good foundations that create some health safety, right? That we are laying a good foundation for health. We can regulate as we steady our immune system and our nervous system. When we start to gain good energy in our mitochondria, we're going to restore capacity, right? We have the capacity to do more and handle things differently. As we, sorry, as we build strength, we build that resilience. And then health emerges out of all of those layers, right? So the information that I impart, because I like to impart a lot of information, right? I'm good at that. So information can help you understand all those layers, but formation and actually making some shifts, there's that word. I know it's a different word, but it's the word you don't like. But formation is what actually builds into those layers to make them strong, right? And resilient. So information can help you understand the layers, but formation is what actually builds them. So let's talk about health in real time, right? And, this week I'm probably not sleeping great last night. I'm not feeling great emotionally. I'm not floating above the stress either. Like I'm feeling it all. But I'm also, because I've rebuilt some resilience and um, I really stand on this, like because I've built some resilience, I'm also not collapsing, right? Because I built safety before this week, right? I have some good regulation practices. Even though I got a little sick last week, I have enough energy habits built in that I was able to get over it relatively quickly, like 3 or 4 days instead of a couple of weeks. I strength train pretty heavy, which you probably know. But that strength was trained in way before all this other stuff happened. So the formation doesn't really remove hard seasons, but it really keeps them from dismantling you, right? You don't just have to come unglued, right? So formation doesn't remove the hard seasons. It just keeps you from being like torn apart when they do come. Um, we can stay more steadfast in that space, right? So, vulnerability is a component of health, right? And so I'm leaning into that a little bit harder than I normally do this week, um, because that health formation requires you to be emotionally honest. Like, where are you? What are you feeling? And write it down. Do some journaling. I know that that's also a 4-letter word for some of you. I don't like to journal. I don't know how to journal. I have to keep correcting my sentences for all you perfectionists out there. And I am going to give you permission right now to just bullet point your journal. It does not have to be perfect. You are the only one that's ever going to read it, if you even read it again, right? So it requires some emotional honesty on your part. It requires a relationship where you can feel safe and open, right? I have that with several people in my life. I am so, so fortunate. But finding those people can take time, and I understand that. Finding a good therapist, finding the right person that you can find some relational openness with can also help you with releasing that emotional honesty piece. And then that person can also create for you some appropriate support, right? So this version of strength, there's a version of strength that isolates, that hides, that performs, that looks fine. But then there's this deeper version of strength that tells the truth, that has resilience, and that stays steady. Vulnerability is not about oversharing and dumping everything out, right? It's not pretending. It's not spiritualizing pain. Oh, well, Dr. Chris, maybe you just need to pray harder. Okay. Um, that's not always the answer to something, right? Or God will work everything out for the good. Yeah, that's great, but that's just spiritualizing pain. And that's also not appropriate, right? So vulnerability is not oversharing. It is not pretending. It is not spiritualizing pain, and it is not suppressing emotion. But vulnerability allows for better regulation, appropriate support, and then what comes out of that is integration. Because now you've brought all those pieces together and you're not holding on to something that you don't have to carry anymore, right? It's a rock in your backpack that you don't need to have in there. So isolation can really keep your health very fragile, where appropriate vulnerability can just strengthen it. And so formation rarely happens in isolation, right? I have an amazing community around me that is there when I need to lean in, right? We all have those places. In our group, we have a group text. I have some individual friends, and we lean on each other in so many varied ways, whether it is a quick text or whether it's a phone call or it's having coffee or dinner or lunch or something quick like that. But formation rarely happens in isolation. It happens where you can tell the truth and remain steady. Maybe you fall asleep. Maybe you fall apart while you're telling the truth, right? But afterwards, you feel relief. You feel connected to this person in a different way. And then you can also feel steady as you come out of that you're not doing this thing alone. So just getting this information is not enough, right? Information just isn't going to be enough. It's like, how many self-help books have you read? I have an entire bookcase of them. I have read and read and read. And you can know all of those things. You can know all the right things about stress. You can know all the right habits about food. You can know all the right verses about peace and what God can do with our tough times, about celebrating, about worship, about who He is, Psalm 139, about how He put you together, right? You can know all that. But when life hits, what patterns show up? Do these new patterns of not isolating, do these new patterns of eating right don't go away? Do these new patterns of exercising daily or whatever that exercise program is that you've committed to, do those fall apart, right? So when life hits, your patterns are going to show up, and formation will show up because they'll show up in, okay, just because I've had a bad day doesn't mean that I get to eat crappy for the rest of the week, or I don't have to go to the gym because I don't feel like it. Formation shows up as strength in staying true to yourself and staying true to those people that love you, and being vulnerable about, hey, you know what? I really don't want to go to the gym today. And I know that if I go, I'm going to feel better. Or I really want to eat an entire chocolate cake or an entire giant bowl of popcorn. That's my thing. And I'm not going to do that because that's going to make me feel worse, right? It's like the triple whammy, right? You get hit with life, and then your habits fall apart and you don't feel good about yourself. And then you eat your way, or whatever your distraction is, you shop your way. Again, whatever your distraction is. And then you feel bad about that too. So really, having information is just not enough, right? We have to find those patterns that can stay true, that we built that foundation. And now when life hits, that's patterns show up, our formation shows up, or the lack of it shows up. So information doesn't really hold steady, but as we are forming ourselves, that formation does hold you steady. and you have those good habits to lean into instead of leaning away from them. That's formation, that's transformation. And honestly, that's what the living collective is going to be about is yes, we are going to fall. Yes, I will eat a giant bowl of popcorn. It's going to happen. And how fast do we recover from that? Because that is resilience, that is vulnerable, that is really leaning into the patterns of health that make us feel good about ourselves. So these things are built over time. And I wish I could tell you I have 5 easy steps to getting it all right. And if you do it for a week, everything's going to be fine. I refuse to overpromise because I have seen people shift in very short periods of time and fall apart. I've seen it's like the seeds that land on rocks, right? They may shoot up really quick, but there's no soil there for them to grow, right? I've seen people take time, a year maybe even, and I know it sounds like a tremendous amount of time, but over a year, then when life happens, they lean into their new habits instead of going all the way back a year later or a year ago, right? So health really isn't about the absence of hard seasons or hard things that can happen. It's about having that resilience inside those hard seasons so that you can see things from a different perspective, right? And I'm telling you today, I am so far from teaching this at some kind of weird mountaintop perspective because I'm just living it real time today. Did I run today? No. Did I take a nice long walk? You betcha. Right? Did I shower and do my hair? Yep, I did. Am I going to eat good today? Yes, I am. First of all, I don't want to get sick again, right? And I want to maintain that resilience that I've built over time. So again, I'm not teaching this from a mountaintop. I'm living it in real time, y'all. That is just it. And the Living Fresh Collective is about forming health that holds when life doesn't. When life comes at you, you will have a place to dump some of your, emotional stuff and be able to be encouraged to get back on that horse and ride that resilience into your season of hard, whatever that season of hard may be, right? I'm just about ready to open the Living Collective. I'm working on some back end stuff so that you guys can have some content there already when you go. And so like I said, I'm pretty excited about the Living Collective. It's something, like I said before, I have been working on this for a pretty long time. And it's exciting to me that I'm going to finally be able to get to share my heart and show up to encourage and envelop you in a hard season where even in a hard season, you don't have to wait to build that resilience. You can start building some small habits, even in a hard season. We can take apart timetables. We can figure out where to find that 15 minutes of peace. We can find 30 or 40 minutes to do some batch cooking so we can eat healthy during a hard season. We can work through, excuse me, the hard parts at the same time as you're building this resilience and forming a new foundation for yourself. So fixing may solve some problems for you, right? But formation is really going to build you up. And my gift of teaching and discernment and encouragement and faith is going to be at the center of that I would love to be able to pour into you all of those pieces so that you can be that person that God wants you to be, right? So that you can show up even in the hard times with vulnerability, not isolating yourself, not pulling away, not diving into your former distractions and poor habits or poor choices, the things that make you feel even worse during a hard season, but to build some health even in a hard season. And maybe you're not in a hard season at all right now, right? Maybe you're like, hey, I'm in a good place and I'm ready to build some stuff. Awesome. You are ripe for the building, right? You are ready to go. And so I would love to have you join me in that. And you can, people that aren't in hard season can support other people in the Living Fresh Collective, right? We're going to be able to help build each other up. And to me, that's what church can look like when it's functioning in a healthy way. We can come around as a community in positive ways for people, for other people. And when we're going through stuff, other people can come into our life and help us stay and form ourselves, even in the hard spaces. So fixing may solve some problems, but honestly, formation is really what's going to build you up. So staying, rooted where we are with lots of love and truth, and forming ourselves with grace for not only for ourselves, but for others out there. I love each and every one of you. I would love it if you would run over to my YouTube channel, or even here, like and subscribe. Click on some of my shorts, leave some comments. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to see some more comments, like all my posts and stuff. That would be fantastic. That would help other people get to see what you think is amazing. So you can help other people just by doing that. Sure, you're going to help me too. I'm not going to lie. But thanks, you guys. I love you so much. Like, subscribe, do the things you already know how to do. And it just takes a sec to do that. So love you guys. Have a great week. You've been listening to Spark Faith with me, Dr. Chris Sargent. This show is about renewed health, rooted in truth, and restored by grace. Tune in every Thursday morning at 9:30 a.m. Pacific on the Transformation Talk Radio for more simple, faith-fueled steps to live the vision God placed in your heart. Are you ready to take the next step? Schedule a discovery call or connect with me at drchrissargent.com. That's DRKRIS Sargent.com. While you're there, download my free ebook, Endless Energy, the 6 non-negotiable keys to endless energy, and sign up for an upcoming masterclass. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share the show, and I'd love to connect with you on social media at Dr. Chris Sargent. Let's keep sparking faith and transformation together. Can't wait to see y'all next time.